All right, let's talk about the Rangers' Game 1 loss to the Panthers with New York Post Rangers beat writer Mollie Walker. All right, Mollie, we talked about this series going into Game 1. Wasn't what a lot of people expected, so I got to get your biggest takeaways from the first game of this series.
My biggest takeaway was that the Rangers looked a little inferior at times against the Panthers. The Panthers are a really hard team below the hash marks. They're hard on the boards. They're hard on the forecheck. They land their checks and hits. And the Rangers didn't match that as much as they probably would have liked to. They focused a lot on how many posts they hit and that they did get their chances, which they did. But as Peter Laviolette likes to say a lot, I would say that the Florida Panthers had many more louder chances than the Rangers did, and that is probably why the end result was what it was.
All right, they'll be back at the Garden for Game 2. So what adjustments do you see Peter Laviolette making for Game 2? And Mark Messier said he wants to see Matt Rempe in the lineup. You think we'll see Rempe?
Well, Peter Laviolette has done such a great job all year with adjustments from game to game, especially against teams that the Rangers have already played and lost to. I believe it's 10 teams, Washington and Columbus twice, that they lost to and then were able to beat them the very next time. So the Rangers have shown a capability of implementing adjustments and making the necessary fixes in order to combat whatever their opponent is bringing on a nightly basis. And as it goes with Matt Rempe, it's certainly an option, I'm sure, as is Blake Wheeler. I'm sure for Peter Laviolette, but there's a lot of different things to weigh in here. But if you look at how Peter Laviolette used Filipino last night, it kind of begs the question of what's the difference. So Matt Rempe brings something intangible to Madison Square Garden, so I'm sure that is something that Peter Laviolette will be looking at.
Let's go back to what you were saying about necessary fixes. That's coaching right there, and you got a chance to speak with Coach today. So what was his response to the loss?
It was very positive, honestly. Everybody from Peter Laviolette to the four players that we spoke to today, the emphasis was on the fact that it was only a 1-0 game at the start of the third period. And really, if the Rangers buried any of the multitude of chances that they had, it could have been a very different game. So even though it felt like the Panthers were overmatching them and outplaying them at times, the scoreboard didn't really reflect that until later in the game. So I think that the emphasis is on the fact that they were right there for a majority of the game, and it's just a matter of executing better going forward.
Yeah, and it was the first time during this entire postseason that the Rangers were completely shut out. So what's Coach or the players saying about how they can get this offense going again?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just a matter of breaking through once, and then the floodgates can kind of open sometimes. But the Rangers are going to have to make that happen. I'd personally like to see them get to the net a lot more than they did in Game 1, and just get to the dirty areas of the ice a little bit more than they did. I think that the Panthers did a really good job on defense. I think that that's something about the Panthers that has changed over the last few years, because they've always been a team that can outscore anybody. But now we're seeing under Paul Maurice that they are a defensive-minded group as well. So they're able to lock it down when they have to. So the Rangers are going to have to definitely step it up on offense.
Well, they don't call this team resilient for no reason. Game 2 goes down Friday at the Garden. Mollie Walker, thanks for taking your time out of the day to join us.
Thanks for having me.